Hello there, I'm the Biblical Translator, and today's scripture is taken from Luke 6, chapter 6, or verse 6. On another Sabbath day, a man with a deformed right hand was in a synagogue while Jesus was teaching. The teachers of religious law and the Pharisees watched Jesus closely. If he healed the man's hand, they planned to accuse him of working on the Sabbath. But Jesus knew their thoughts. He said to the man with the deformed hand, "Come and stand in front of everyone." So the man came forward. Then Jesus said to the critics, "I have a question for you. Does the law permit good deeds on the Sabbath, or is it a day of doing evil? Is this day to save life or destroy it?" He looked around at them one by one and then said to the man, "Hold out your hand." So the man held out his hand and it was restored. At this, the enemies of Jesus were wild with rage and began discussing what to do with him. What's interesting is that, I'll work my way backwards, is that Jesus said to the man, "Hold out your hand," and it was restored. It doesn't say that Jesus restored it. It doesn't say that Jesus said, "Heal thyself," or "you are healed," or "your hand is made well," or, like he said in the past, "Get up and walk," or "Now you can see." Here he's saying it was restored. It implies that it was restored just by his presence, or just by him saying, "Hold out your hand." He didn't even have to do anything. But what's more important about this is, I think, the emphasis on whether about the Sabbath. A lot of people kind of think the Sabbath is about action versus inaction, and it's not about action versus inaction. It's about good over evil. It's about life over death. And when you think about the Sabbath, what are you doing on the Sabbath? Are you doing good or are you doing evil? Are you focusing on the minute details and missing the bigger picture? And focusing on, I wonder if my wife is touching anything. I wonder if she's doing anything. I wonder if she's lifting anything. I wonder if she's eating. Or likewise, the spouse doing the same with the husband, being preoccupied with the minute details of criticism and judging and looking for what people are doing wrong. Is that a way to spend your Sabbath, just looking for what people are doing wrong? Looking for fault? Because that's what it appears like. And what Jesus is saying, he says, this is not about, the Sabbath isn't about looking for fault. Looking at the minute details is about, are you doing good or are you doing evil? Are you bringing life or are you bringing death? And it's interesting that the man had a deformed right hand, and we all know the right hand for many of us is integral to what you can do. Some people are totally disabled if they cannot use their right hand. So this, by saying it was the right hand, it's important. It's not just said for saying's sake. The writer isn't just saying it. It's because he wants us to know the importance of the right hand being deformed and how it was integral to how that man conducted his daily life and why it was important for Jesus to help him in whichever way he could. But the teachers of religious law and Pharisees watched Jesus very closely. Yeah, those people that micromanage, those people that pin, I can't think of the word now, but they're always looking for any little minute detail, so focused on it, and they can't do anything else apart from, have you done this? You haven't done that. Why haven't you done that? You're supposed to do this. Those people, they're so bloody annoying. Sorry, my eyes are diverting. I'm kind of doing a few things at once. Okay, but Jesus knew their thoughts. Does that mean Jesus was telepathic? It also tells us that Jesus knows what we're thinking. We don't have to say anything. And whether it's Jesus or, like I've said in previous videos, we have our own conscience. Jesus could be our conscience. God could be our conscience. But we know our thoughts. We know what we're thinking. We know if we're thinking sin, and we know if we're thinking good. You don't have to worry about what other people know. People don't have to know what you're thinking. You know what you're thinking. God knows what you're thinking. And that is what is important. And when you're thinking about doing something, or trying to be deceitful, or trying to get one over on someone else, you think you're being clever, you think you're being smart, you think you're being slick, just remember that God is omnipresent. There's an all-seeing eye. So it's left up to you and your conscience, whether or not how you conduct your thoughts, how you conduct yourself. Who's watching you? So Jesus knew their thoughts. He said to the man with the deformed hand, "Come and take a stand in front of anyone." So the man came forward. Obedience. I love the way people just obey Jesus. He just has to say something, and they're just like, okay, no, why am I coming forward? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? That's what we're like today. We're always questioning. We don't do much in faith at all. These days we're full of doubt, full of skepticism. And it's because the way I call the word grew, because this is over a period of time where we have been trained not to trust anyone. And we don't even realize it half the time. So we're always questioning. We do so little in faith. Does the law permit good deeds on the Sabbath, or is it a day for doing evil? So you can choose what you do with your Sabbath. You can choose to nitpick. That's the word I was looking for. You can choose to nitpick, or you can choose to micromanage. You can choose to just, henpeck someone and moan and, be petty. A lot of people are so petty. The slightest little thing, they get up in arms about it. My mother always said, choose your battles. Not everything you have to take up. Not everything you have to make a mountain out of a molehill. You can choose your arguments. You can choose what you want to focus on. You can choose what makes you happy and what doesn't. But some people, they just focus on these things that are so inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. And does it bring them joy? I don't think so. So like I said, the Sabbath is not about action or inaction. It's about doing good, and it's about giving life to people. What can you do to give life to another person? What can you do to motivate them, inspire them, lift them up, care for them? So many of us are focused on our own goals, what we want. It's always about what we want, what we can get. And people don't realise that if you don't serve others, you're not going to be served. You can't get when you don't give. But so many people are holding on tight to what they have. So he looked around at them one by one and then said to the man, hold out your hand. So the man held out his hand and it was restored. I think that's very interesting wording, how it was worded, and it was restored. Restored on faith? Restored by works? We don't know. We know it was restored just by saying, hold out your hand. And it was restored. That is the power of the word. We have to remember how powerful our words are. Be careful about what you say and how you say it. Our words hold power. And we can do great things if we believe it. That's why we have to learn to trust. Retrain our bodies and our minds to retrust. Not only ourselves, but try to retrust others. Everybody is inherently good. It's society and other systems that have made us untrustworthy and made us not want to trust other people. So let's see what we can do about that. That's in your control. The enemies of Jesus were wild with rage and began to discuss what to do with him. Yeah, he defied them, they're angry, and that's what people are like.